Welcome. Today we're exploring the top 5 rare United States of America Monticello 5-cent coins, each known for unique mint marks, low mintages, and valuable conditions. These Jefferson nickels may look ordinary at first glance, but depending on whether they're found in circulated, uncirculated, or proof-like condition, their value can rise dramatically. From wartime silver issues to scarce early-date varieties and key mint marks, these coins are favorites among collectors and can bring in impressive prices. Let's get started. First up, the Monticello 5-cent coin from 1974 without a mint mark is one of the classic pieces from the long-running Jefferson nickel series. This coin carries decades of American history, and collectors still search for examples that have survived in attractive grades. Today, we explore this 1974 no-mint mark nickel in very good circulated condition and uncover what makes it interesting, desirable, and valuable to collectors worldwide. When we look at the 1974 Jefferson nickel, one of the first things we notice is the absence of a mint mark. Coins without a mint mark were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally struck massive quantities of everyday circulation coinage. Because of this, the 1974 no-mint mark nickel is common, but the condition, color, and originality of each piece can still influence its desirability. This coin belongs to the long-running Jefferson nickel series, which began in 1938 and remains one of the most familiar designs in American pocket change. Even though billions were made over decades, certain years, conditions, and errors make specific dates more collectible than others. The 1974 nickel is part of the vintage pre-1980 era, making even circulated examples interesting to collectors who love older U.S. coinage. The obverse of the coin features the portrait of the third U.S. President, Thomas Jefferson. Designed by Felix Schlag, the portrait is a symbol of leadership, vision, and early American political history. On circulated 1974 examples, Jefferson's cheek, jawline, and hairline show visible wear, but the core details remain bold enough to give the coin a classic vintage look. Turning to the reverse, we see the Monticello building, Jefferson's historic Virginia home. The structure remains one of America's great architectural achievements. Even in very good condition, the 1974 nickel's reverse typically shows soft details on the dome, columns, and stairs. However, the design still stands strong, giving collectors a clean view of this iconic American landmark. A no-mint mark 1974 nickel means it was struck in Philadelphia. Philadelphia coins from this era often circulated heavily because they were produced in huge numbers for daily use. This makes finding a well-preserved circulated example more appealing, as it shows the natural history of wear, handling, and age. Collectors often look at the overall color of a coin. Your nickel with natural circulated color suggests that the coin has not been cleaned or altered. Original circulation tone adds authenticity and character, making it more desirable than polished or artificially brightened pieces. A very good condition 1974 nickel typically shows moderate wear across Jefferson's face and Monticello's exterior. Even so, the lettering, date, and essential design remain readable and intact. This makes it ideal for beginner collectors, hobbyists, and educational coin sets. While 1974 nickels are not rare by mintage alone, certain circulated examples still hold sentimental and educational value. They represent true American history, 1970s inflation, changing coinage use, and decades of everyday life. Collectors appreciate coins that tell a story, and a circulated example does just that. Many people overlook nickels from the 1970s, assuming they hold no value. But coin collecting is not only about price, it is about condition, survival rate, design, and personal interest. The 1974 nickel in very good shape has survived over 50 years of circulation, making it a small historic artifact. This coin is part of the copper-nickel alloy era, meaning it contains no silver. The lack of precious metal content keeps the value affordable, but it still retains strong collector appeal for series completion. Every Jefferson nickel collection needs a genuine 1974 no-mint mark example to be complete. Collectors sometimes aim to assemble date and mint mark sets. In such sets, the 1974 Philadelphia nickel plays a key role. Paired with Denver and San Francisco versions, it helps tell the minting story of that year. Even circulated coins fill these sets nicely when budget is a concern. A circulated 1974 nickel also makes a great educational tool for young collectors. It teaches how to identify wear, understand mint marks, and evaluate a coin's remaining details. This helps beginners grow confident in handling and examining real coins. When assessing this coin, we also look at the clarity of the inscriptions. "In God we trust," "Liberty," and the 1974 date should be readable. On the reverse, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America complete the iconic design. Clear lettering is essential even in circulated coins. The durability of the nickel alloy meant coins like the 1974 Jefferson nickel stayed in use for decades. Many circulated from hand to hand into the early 2000s. The natural surface where you see today is a direct record of that long journey through American pockets and cash registers. Your coin's circulated color likely includes soft grays, light silver tones, and subtle darker edges from pocket friction. Collectors often seek this original patina because it reflects honest age rather than artificial cleaning or polishing. Although very good condition is considered a modest grade, the coin still retains all major design elements. Nothing is missing or damaged beyond normal wear. This is ideal for collectors who want authentic circulated pieces rather than flawless, high-value examples. Jefferson nickels from the 1970s are also interesting because the U.S. Mint was improving striking quality during this time. The details of Monticello became sharper during the early 70s compared to earlier decades, giving 1974 coins better original detail before circulation wear. The absence of a mint mark on the obverse makes the face of the coin cleaner and simpler. Many collectors appreciate the minimalist look of Philadelphia-struck coins from this era. It gives the obverse a more balanced and uncluttered appearance. Holding a 1974 nickel is similar to holding a piece of American cultural history. These coins were exchanged during a time of rapid economic change, evolving technology, and shifting social landscapes. Every circulated example carries evidence of that long timeline. Even though the coin is common, collectors still examine each piece carefully for potential varieties. Some 1970s nickels show die cracks, die wear, or strike anomalies. While most are minor, they add extra charm to circulated coins when present. The Monticello steps are often the first part of the reverse design to show heavy wear. On circulated 1974 nickels, these steps usually blend together. But the overall shape of Monticello remains visible, maintaining the classic look collectors expect. Because this coin was used in real commerce, it may show tiny marks, scratches, or surface contact points. These natural signs of circulation add authenticity. They also reinforce that this coin lived a genuine life in everyday American exchange. Next up. The 1969 Monticello 5 cents coin is a fascinating piece of American coinage history, and today we are taking a deep look at this vintage Jefferson nickel. Struck over half a century ago at the San Francisco Mint, this coin continues to attract interest from collectors who appreciate age, originality, and classic mid-century U.S. designs. The Jefferson nickel series has been in production since 1938, and the 1969 issue stands out because it comes from a time when the San Francisco Mint was transitioning its production focus. Although Mint nickels were made in significant numbers, finding attractive circulated examples with natural color can still be enjoyable for collectors. On the obverse of the coin, we see the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. In good condition, the portrait shows heavy wear across the cheek, hair, and jawline, yet the major details remain visible enough to clearly identify the design. This worn look gives the coin a sense of history and authenticity. The Mint mark appears to the right of the Monticello building on the reverse, confirming that this coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint. The Mint mark is one of the key features collectors look for when identifying vintage Jefferson nickels. Even in good condition, the mint mark is usually easy to spot. Good condition means the coin experienced long circulation. This is evident in the smoothing of Jefferson's facial features and the flattening of the highest points on the reverse. However, the date, lettering, and outline of the design remain readable, which is important for any collector evaluating circulated coins. The natural circulated color of your 1969 nickel reflects years of use. You might see soft gray tones, darker edges, and small traces of nickel shine where wear is lighter. This honest color is often preferred over artificially cleaned coins, because it shows the true age and character of the piece. This coin comes from the late 1960s, a period when the United States Mint was dealing with major changes in coin usage. Silver had been removed from circulating coins only a few years earlier, and the nation was adjusting to the modern clad coinage era. Jefferson nickels like the 1969 S played a major role in daily commerce during this transition. Collectors often look at vintage S mint coins because they tend to have slightly lower mintages compared to Philadelphia and Denver. While the 1969 S nickel is not rare, it is still appealing because San Francisco-struck circulation coins were becoming less common as the mint gradually shifted toward producing mostly proof coins. On the reverse, the Monticello building reflects Jefferson's architectural brilliance. In good condition, the building's dome, columns, and steps show significant wear, but the overall shape remains identifiable. Even heavily circulated examples carry the charm of this historic design. The rim on a good condition coin may be worn down, blending slightly into the portrait or the building. While this is normal for low-grade circulated pieces, the fact that the rim remains intact enough to frame the design is an important factor for collectors who appreciate genuine circulation wear. Despite its heavy wear, the 1969 S nickel still holds value to collectors completing date and mint mark sets. Many hobbyists enjoy filling albums with every year and mint from the Jefferson series, and the 1969 S is an essential piece in that journey. Even circulated examples fill a key spot in any collection. Coins like this one also carry sentimental value. Many people who grew up during the 1960s and 1970s remember seeing S mint nickels in pocket change more frequently than today. Owning a 1969 S nickel can bring back memories of a different time in American culture and daily life. Good condition coins are perfect examples of what everyday money looked like after years of use. These were the coins that passed through grocery stores, gas stations, movie theaters, and schools. Every mark, scratch, and smooth surface tells a small part of that long journey. Collectors also examine the lettering on circulated coins. On the obverse, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date remain readable, though sometimes faint. On the reverse, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America continue to define the iconic layout of the Jefferson nickel. The 1969 S nickel is also interesting because it was minted during a time when the U.S. economy relied heavily on coins for everyday transactions. Debit cards and electronic payments did not exist, so coins experienced heavier use and wear. That explains the smoother surfaces on many surviving examples. Even though good condition is near the lower end of the grading scale, these coins still hold educational and collectible value. They are perfect for new collectors learning how to identify grades and understand how circulation affects the look of a coin over time. Your coin's circulated color also tells us that it has not been cleaned. Cleaning coins often reduces their appeal because it removes the natural toning and can scratch the metal. A naturally aged coin is always more desirable for long-term collecting. Another interesting aspect of the 1969 S nickel is its place in U.S. minting history. Throughout the 1960s, the mint experimented with increasing coin production to meet public demand. The San Francisco Mint contributed significantly during this decade before shifting focus more toward proof coinage in later years. Many collectors study the small details of the Monticello building to determine the condition of a Jefferson nickel. In good condition, nearly all step detail is worn away, but the structure still appears bold enough to represent the historic home accurately even with heavy wear. Jefferson nickels from this era were made from a copper-nickel alloy that proved extremely durable. This composition helped the coin survive many decades of circulation, making it one of the longest-lasting denominations in the U.S. coinage system. The 1969 S issue is part of a generation of vintage pocket change coins that younger collectors rarely encounter today. As time passes, naturally circulated examples become more appreciated simply because fewer remain in everyday use. Collectors sometimes search these older nickels for interesting die varieties. While the 1969 S is not known for major rare varieties, small die cracks or minor anomalies can still add character, especially to circulated pieces with unique visual personality. Your good condition example likely shows flattened hair on Jefferson, blended lines in the fields, and smooth surfaces. These features reflect natural movement through the economy before the coin was eventually pulled aside by someone who recognized its vintage date and mint mark. The Monticello dome on good condition coins often appears soft and rounded. Even so, it remains centered and instantly identifiable. This design element is one of the most recognizable aspects of the Jefferson nickel series. The circulation marks across the coin surface are a reminder that this piece served as real money for many years. Every imperfection is part of its history, highlighting the countless hands it passed through before reaching a collector or enthusiast. Even low-grade coins from the 1960s hold appeal because they represent a time before modern minting technology took over. Today's coins look sharper and more precise, but older circulated pieces carry a more organic, lived-in look that many collectors appreciate. Next up, the 1963 Monticello 5-cent coin is a classic piece of American numismatic history, and in today's video we are taking a deep look at this vintage Jefferson nickel. Struck at the Denver Mint during a time of economic transition in the United States, this coin holds both historical and collectible appeal for anyone interested in U.S. coinage. The obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag in 1938. On a 1963 nickel in good condition, Jefferson's portrait shows noticeable wear across the cheek, jawline, and hair, but the overall profile remains clearly recognizable. This wear is normal for circulated coins of this age. The D mint mark, located on the reverse to the right of the Monticello building, identifies the Denver Mint as the producer of this coin. The 1963 nickel had a high mintage, but with more than 60 years gone by, finding examples with honest, original circulated color remains a pleasure for collectors. Good condition means the coin circulated for many years before being pulled out of pocket change. You'll see smooth surfaces, faint details, and softened high points, but the date, mint mark, and major design elements are still readable. This level of wear tells the story of a coin that truly served as money. The circulated color of your 1963 nickel is a badge of authenticity. You might see a mix of gray, darker tones, and subtle nickel shine where the metal experienced less friction. This natural toning is preferred over harsh cleaning, which can damage a coin's value and originality. In 1963, the United States Mint was busy meeting nationwide demand for coins, as cash transactions dominated daily life. Jefferson nickels were essential in grocery stores, gas stations, bus fares, and everyday exchanges. Your coin likely passed through countless hands before becoming a collectible. When examining the obverse, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date remain visible, though worn. These inscriptions frame Jefferson's portrait and give the coin its classic layout, even when the coin is far from mint state. The reverse features the iconic Monticello building, which represents Jefferson's architectural masterpiece. In good condition, the steps are worn flat and the windows and columns may be faint, yet the overall structure is still clear enough to appreciate the artistry of the design. Collectors understand that good condition is near the lower end of the grading scale, but that does not diminish the charm of a coin like this. Circulated nickels from the early 1960s reflect real economic history, making them a valuable educational piece for beginners and seasoned hobbyists. The rim of the coin may show flattening, blending slightly into the portrait or building. This is typical of coins that have been through decades of everyday use. Despite this wear, the rim usually remains intact enough to frame the coin's design and maintain structural shape. The Denver Mint produced large quantities of nickels in the early 1960s, but that doesn't mean every surviving piece is in attractive condition. Many were heavily worn, damaged, or discarded over time. A good condition example like yours still offers plenty of collectible appeal because it remains identifiable and honest. Your 1963 nickel belongs to the final years before the major coinage changes of the mid-1960s. The removal of silver from U.S. circulating coins in 1965 shifted attention across all denominations. While nickels kept their composition, the entire era represents a turning point in U.S. monetary history. Collectors appreciate the Jefferson nickel series because it is long-running, historically significant, and affordable to complete. Coins like the 1963 serve as important building blocks for anyone creating a full date and mint mark collection. Even circulated examples fill essential album spots. The coin's circulated marks, small scratches, nicks, and smooth fields, are the natural fingerprints of its journey. These marks highlight authenticity and give each coin a unique personality. No two circulated coins are exactly the same. The Monticello dome on this coin may appear soft or lightly blended into the surrounding field. This is normal for good condition pieces, and yet the building remains one of the most recognizable elements of the Jefferson design, still capturing Jefferson's architectural vision. Collectors also examine the lettering on the reverse, including Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. In good condition, these remain readable, even if some letters show fading or soft edges. This readability helps maintain the coin's collectible integrity. The 1963 D nickel is also interesting because it was struck the year before President Kennedy's assassination. The early 1960s were a time of rapid social and economic change, and coins from this era carry a subtle connection to the mood and history of the country. Your coin's circulated appearance shows that it lived through many decades of real use before becoming part of a collection. Whether it bought lunch, bus fare, or newspapers, this nickel participated in daily commerce that shaped the American experience of its time. Another appealing factor is that Jefferson nickels have remained mostly unchanged for decades, with only minor updates over time. This makes comparing older circulated examples to modern ones especially fun for collectors who enjoy seeing how designs age in circulation. Good condition nickels often show most of their detail worn down, but what remains tells a complete story. The outline of Jefferson's face, the main structure of Monticello, and the mint mark all serve as reminders of the design's strength and durability. The copper-nickel alloy used for the 1963 D nickel is highly resistant to corrosion, which helped the coin survive long-term use. Even after decades, the coin still carries a smooth but solid appearance, showcasing the durability of U.S. mint materials. Many collectors start their journey with circulated Jefferson nickels because they are affordable, easy to find, and rich in history. A 1963 D nickel in good condition represents the perfect starting point for building a meaningful collection. Coins from the 1960s remain nostalgic for many people who grew up using them. The 1963 D nickel was once a common sight in pocket change, but today it feels like a small time machine, taking us back to a different era of American life and culture. Even though this coin is not rare, it has collectible value because it carries age, mint mark interest, and a classic design. Circulated mid-century coins like this have become increasingly appreciated as fewer of them remain in everyday circulation. The placement of the D mint mark is important for collectors identifying mint varieties. Small details like mint mark position, size, and clarity can make studying Jefferson nickels enjoyable and educational. The fields on your coin, the flat areas around the portrait and building, show smooth, consistent wear, which is typical for good condition circulated examples. This kind of wear creates a pleasing, natural texture across the surface. The 1963 D nickel also belongs to the pre-war nickel era, meaning it retains the standard alloy and appearance of typical Jefferson nickels. This consistency makes it a great representative of the series during the classic mid-century years. Next up, the United States of America Monticello 5-cent coin from 1980 with the D mint mark is an interesting and collectible piece from the late 20th century, and in this video we will explore every detail of this coin in circulated condition. Even though it is a common year, every circulated coin carries a story, and this 1980 D Jefferson nickel is no exception. This coin features the classic Jefferson portrait on the obverse, designed by Felix Schlag, which has remained iconic since its introduction in 1938. In circulated condition, the portrait shows wear across the cheek, hair, and jawline, giving the coin a smooth and aged appearance that reflects years of daily use in American commerce. The 1980 D mint mark, located on the obverse to the right of Jefferson's portrait, confirms the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Denver produced millions of these nickels, and yet each surviving circulated example has its own character formed through decades of handling. The circulated color of the coin shows natural toning, darkened areas, and patches of soft nickel shine. This is typical for coins made of the copper-nickel alloy, which ages differently depending on how it was stored, handled, or exposed to environmental conditions. The obverse inscriptions include, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1980, all of which remain visible, although some letters may appear faint due to circulation wear. These inscriptions frame Jefferson's portrait and maintain the traditional layout of the nickel. Turning to the reverse, we see the Monticello building, Jefferson's home and one of the most recognizable structures in American numismatics. On a circulated 1980 D nickel, the details of the dome, steps, and windows are often worn down, but the main outline and structure remain clearly identifiable. The inscriptions on the reverse, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America, are readable even if softened by circulation. The placement and design of these inscriptions create a balanced and symmetrical reverse that has stayed consistent through decades. Coins like the 1980 D nickel were part of everyday American life, moving through grocery stores, gas stations, payphones, and vending machines. Their long journey through circulation gives them the warm, authentic look that collectors appreciate today. The rim of a circulated nickel from this year may show flattening or blending into the fields, which is completely normal. These signs of wear do not harm the collectability of the coin, but instead showcase its real-world history. On circulated examples, the fields, the flat parts of the coin, often carry small scratches, contact marks, and light abrasions. These marks are the natural fingerprints of circulation and tell the story of how widely the coin traveled before reaching a collection. Jefferson nickels from the late 1970s and early 1980s are becoming increasingly nostalgic for collectors, as fewer of these coins remain in nice circulated condition. Many were lost, damaged, or discarded, so each preserved example holds sentimental and historical value. The 1980 nickel belongs to a period when cash transactions were still dominant in the United States. Digital payments and electronic banking were far from common, making coins like this an essential part of daily life. Collectors appreciate the durability of the copper-nickel alloy used in these nickels. Even after decades of circulation, the metal remains sturdy, showing natural wear without losing its fundamental structure or design. In circulated condition, the steps of Monticello are typically worn smooth, which is expected. Only uncirculated or high-grade examples show strong step detail, so the lack of steps does not reduce the charm of your 1980 nickel. The Denver Mint was known for producing high quantities of working coins during the late 20th century. Your 1980 nickel represents this era of mass production, yet still retains a unique appearance shaped by its individual circulation life. The edges of the coin may show softening, and the once sharp lines of the design elements may appear blended. This is natural aging for a coin that has been actively used in commerce over several decades. The circulated color of your coin is a key part of its personality. You may notice gray, darker tones, and subtle patches of lighter metal where friction polished the surface. This color mix adds depth and character to the coin. Collectors who enjoy circulated coins often appreciate their authenticity more than overly polished or cleaned examples. Natural wear is always preferable to artificial shine created through improper cleaning. The obverse portrait of Jefferson, even worn, maintains its strong profile. The nose, chin, and forehead remain recognizable, demonstrating the durability of Felix Schlag's original design. The reverse design, showing Monticello, offers collectors a small glimpse into Jefferson's architectural legacy. Even in worn condition, the symmetry and strength of the building's layout remain impressive. Coins like the 1980 nickel are excellent learning tools for new collectors, helping them practice grading, identifying wear patterns, and appreciating the life cycle of circulated coins. Many hobbyists enjoy filling album spots with circulated coins from each decade, and a 1980 nickel is an essential addition to any modern Jefferson nickel collection. It represents a time of transition in American culture and economy. Your coin's circulated condition also makes it more affordable compared to higher-grade examples. This accessibility is one of the reasons the Jefferson nickel series is popular among beginners and advanced collectors alike. The small D mint mark is an important detail, connecting your coin to one of the busiest U.S. mint facilities. Mint mark varieties are often among the most exciting aspects of collecting U.S. coins. This coins where patterns reveal how it moved through countless pockets, cash drawers, and transactions. Each mark and smooth surface is a reminder of its long journey through everyday American life. Circulated nickels from 1980 often show interesting toning depending on storage conditions. Some darken evenly, while others develop highlights on the high points, giving the coin a balanced and attractive visual appeal. Collectors appreciate circulated coins like this because they provide a tangible connection to a specific moment in history. The year 1980 was full of cultural, political, and economic changes in the United States, and this coin existed right in the middle of that era. The lettering across the reverse, especially 5 cents, often appears strong enough to read despite years of wear. This makes the coin fully identifiable and suitable for collecting, trading, or displaying. For many collectors, a 1980 nickel brings back memories of earlier decades when these coins were still commonly found in pocket change. Today, seeing one in circulated but intact condition feels like a nostalgic throwback. This coin is part of a long-running series that remains important in American coinage. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of U.S. currency for generations, and the 1980 is a representative piece of that legacy. In circulated condition, your 1980 Monticello nickel shows warm, natural wear that reflects its age and honest history. It may not be rare or high-grade, but it carries real character and the charm of a fully lived circulation life. Next up. The United States of America Monticello 5 cents coin from 1972, without a mint mark, in very fine condition. Whether you're a collector, a hobbyist, or someone who just discovered this coin in loose change, you're going to enjoy this deep dive breakdown. This 1972 Jefferson nickel belongs to an era when the United States Mint produced millions of 5-cent coins each year. But even with high mintages, certain years and conditions stand out, especially when a coin survives in very fine condition after decades in circulation. The absence of a mint mark is one of the key features of this coin. It tells us that this particular nickel was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time did not place mint marks on its circulating 5-cent coins. That alone makes it easier to identify the coin's origin without special equipment. Now let's talk about the design. On the obverse, you'll find the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson facing left. His hair details, forehead, and cheek structure are usually the first spots collectors examine to determine condition. In very fine condition, these features still show clear definition without being heavily worn. The inscriptions on the obverse, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 1972, usually remain sharp in this grade. Even after years of circulation, a very fine example keeps visible lettering that hasn't flattened out due to wear. Turning the coin over, the reverse showcases the iconic Monticello building. This design has appeared on the nickel for decades, and collectors often look at the steps on Monticello to judge overall detail. In very fine condition, the steps may not be fully sharp, but several lines should remain visible. The reverse inscriptions, "E Pluribus Unum," Monticello, 5 cents, and "United States of America" should also look strong. The edges of the letters remain crisp and readable, even if there's minor softening from circulation. The color of this coin in very fine condition is usually bright with some natural aging. For a 1972 nickel, you can expect a soft gray-silver tone with hints of darker shading in the recessed areas. This natural patina adds character and authenticity. Collectors often appreciate coins like this because they reflect real history. A 1972 nickel has been around for more than 50 years, passing through countless hands, pockets, and cash registers. Yet surviving in very fine condition means it was cared for more than the average coin. Even though this coin isn't extremely rare, its condition and age make it desirable for collectors who want to complete the Jefferson nickel series. Coins without a mint mark from Philadelphia can be common, but condition always plays a major role in value. Speaking of value, very fine examples from 1972 generally carry a small premium above face value. But for collectors assembling a full-year set, having a strong, well-preserved coin like this is essential. One interesting thing about the 1972 Jefferson nickel is that there were no silver varieties or major design changes that year. However, minor errors and die variations do exist, and those can increase a coin's worth significantly. Some collectors search for doubling on the lettering or die cracks near Monticello. Although not extremely common, these small errors make a coin more appealing and can push its value above typical market levels. Another point to consider is that Jefferson nickels from the early 1970s often show heavy circulation wear, so finding one in very fine condition is not as easy as it may seem. Most coins from this period have flattened details or scratches from decades of use. When grading your own coin, always compare the details of the hair, coat lines, and Monticello steps with official grading guides. Even small changes in sharpness can shift a coin from fine to very fine, or from very fine to extremely fine. Collectors should also check for damage. A very fine coin should not have deep scratches, dents, or heavy discoloration. Light marks from circulation are acceptable, but anything too severe lowers the grade. Storing the coin properly is also important. Using a protective holder prevents further wear and preserves the very fine condition you currently have. A simple plastic flip or 2x2 cardboard holder works well. If you want to protect the coin further, keep it away from humidity and extreme temperatures. Nickel alloys can tone over time, but proper storage prevents unwanted corrosion or darkening. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of 1972 nickels, but only a small percentage remain in collectible condition today. Most were used until they were nearly smooth, making very fine examples more desirable. Jefferson nickels continue to be popular because of their long history and availability. This makes them great starting coins for new collectors and enjoyable finds for experienced numismatists. If you're sorting through your pocket change or old coin jars, keep an eye out for the 1972 nickel. Even without a mint mark, This coin carries real historical significance and collector interest. For those building complete Jefferson nickel albums, the 1972 Philadelphia coin is a necessary piece, and finding one in very fine condition saves time compared to searching for better replacements later. It's also worth mentioning that Jefferson nickels are affordable to collect, making them perfect for hobbyists on any budget. A collection built with attention to detail can be incredibly rewarding. The design artistry behind the coin is another reason collectors appreciate it. Felix Schlag's original Jefferson nickel design remains an American classic, especially with the Monticello reverse. Coins like this also offer a great learning opportunity. Studying mint marks, condition grades, and reverse details helps build knowledge that applies to many other U.S. coin types. As we wrap up, remember that even common-date coins gain importance when preserved well. A very fine 1972 Jefferson nickel is far better than the heavily worn examples found in everyday change. If you have this coin at home, take a closer look under good lighting. You might discover details you didn't notice before, especially on the portrait and Monticello. This concludes our in-depth look at the 1972 Monticello 5-cent coin without a mint mark, in very fine condition. Coins like this help preserve fragments of American history and remain enjoyable pieces for collectors around the world.